All right, welcome everybody to Business as Unusual, my fun name for this session here. And welcome to my guests that I have on the phone. Most of my guests are clients of mine or my business coach or someone that I've worked with before as well. So we're just going to be sharing some tips to help you guys survive this pandemic. The reason that I got this idea for having this was in a Facebook group that I'm part of. People were talking about people making comments on ads and making things like, why are you selling right now? And shame on you and things like this. And then there was one fellow that posted, well, business as usual for us. There's nothing different about it right now. And I kind of thought to myself, as I was talking to myself when he was posting that, I thought, no, I think it is unusual because I think there's a lot of factors that we have to think about right now. I know in Canada, it's not hitting us near as hard yet. I think it still is going to. I still think we're going to be home for a couple months. But I do think that there's a lot that's unusual for people, and that's what I wanted to share today. And so when I was actually on a call with Katherine on Monday on our regular monthly call, we were talking, she said she was going to come to this, and I thought, well, what a good idea, I should have you talk. And then I thought, I've got lots of resources of people that could share some good tips. So that is what we're going to do today. So I don't have a really big PowerPoint for those. I just have a couple little slides to keep me on track with what I'm supposed to say so I don't forget. So for those that don't know me, my name is Colaiacovo. I'm the president of Pepper Marketing Services, and I am a social media consultant, online marketing strategist. I started my business in 2008 as a virtual assistant, and now I do a little bit more and a little bit different from what I started out as. Things have definitely changed for me over time. And for those that are here that know me, you know that I do like to laugh. I do like to have fun. If you follow me on Facebook, you'll usually see my fun times of cooking in the kitchen. You'll have seen I had an accident with my dog Pepper, who is pictured here on the screen. She knocked me out. I broke my elbow in February, just before all this pandemic really started. And so I don't look quite as good as my picture because you actually need two hands to blow dry your hair. So, and I don't have my second hand quite getting up much higher than this at this point. So anyhow, we're going to share with you some information today. And if you do want to connect with me online, I'm pretty much Pepper at Marketing Everywhere. I am going to record this session for those that come in a little bit late, and you will be able to get access to the recording, and I'll send you some information on all of the guests as well. And what we're going to do is really just talk and share a few tips that we each have to share with you guys, and then I'm going to open it up for questions that anybody has. So I just want to introduce you to my experts. I'm waiting for one more to come in, and I'm going to check on them in 1 second in the meeting room. But I'm Kathy, so as I mentioned earlier, so I'm going to help you with pivoting with what to do with your marketing right now. And if you guys want to wave, I think your names are by you on the video there. So we've got Katherine Burik here, and she's, if you want to give us a wave, Katherine, she's coming in from Florida where she lives on her boat. So she's very nicely isolated. And she's going to help with tips on doing job search right now, because the HR market and the job market is, I mean, that's a whole game right now. We've got Adrien Paczosa, who's coming in from Austin, Texas, and she is a dietitian and a business coach for private practice owners and dietitians. And so she's got some ideas to help those that are private practice owners thrive right now during the pandemic. And I'm looking for Kathy, and I'll just see if she's in here in the room yet. I don't see her name there, but I will look for her in a second. Kathy's a relationship coach. Kathy's actually my longest client that I've ever worked with. She and I have been working together since 2009. So we've been together for 11 years, and she's a relationship coach in Ohio. And if she doesn't make it here, I'll get her on video somehow to share her tips, because she has some tips for living 24/7 under the same roof with everybody and not killing each other. And then we've got Erica Leon, who's coming in from New York. And Erica is a dietitian and an eating disorder specialist, and she's going to help with some emotional eating tips during the crisis. And I know Patty, who works with me, and I were both talking that this is a great topic, as Patty and I both one day last week had ice cream and chips, or ice cream and I think I had some sort of candy with my ice cream for lunch. So working from home right now can be very emotional and stressful. And so Erica is going to help us with some of that. And then we have Linda McLean, who's coming in from Arizona. And Linda is a business coach and strategist, and she's going to sort of wrap things up at the end and give us some tips on what we can do to pivot right now with everything that we're doing. So she is going to sort of tie everything in for everybody at the end. And then I'm going to open it up for Q&A so that you can all ask questions that you might have and talk directly with one of the experts and ask them what you may need to try and help with your business right now, because that's what this session is all about. So I'm just going to look at what my next slide is here. Yeah, so sit back, get comfy, and relax and learn. And I'm going to just look for Kathy here again and see if she is in my list of folks. She is not yet, but I will see if I can find her while we get going through this. So I'm going to kick us off and start out. And I'm actually just reading some notes that I have that I had put up off on the side. So I really, wanted to talk about marketing and going, what people should be doing right now, because honestly, when I saw the posts from the folks in that group that were saying, oh, it's business as usual, I thought, you know what, it really isn't here at all. And I think one thing that people have to know, though, is that even though there's a pandemic and there's a global pandemic going on and things are really trying for everybody at this point now, I just don't think it's also a time that it means you have to stop your marketing and stop selling your business, because we are in business for those of us that are business owners. For people that are in jobs, there's a lot of companies and businesses that are still happening right now. And, kudos that go out to all of those people, because there's a lot of people out there working for minimum wage that are helping us live right now by stocking the grocery stores and being there for the takeouts and, the gas stations. And then, God love the hospital workers and everybody that's going in there. I mean, that's a huge thing that they're dealing and going through with at that point. So business isn't stopping for people right now, but I don't think it's usual either. And I think that's where you just have to recognize that you might need to pivot what you're doing and make a couple changes. So one of the things that we've been helping and looking at we always start with my stuff and kind of go through my stuff and what is it that I need to change with what I have going on and with what's going on with our clients that we look after, for the clients that we do, and then the students that are in my programs. So the first thing that we're looking at is how can we, lead by offering help right now? Because I think that's where a lot of people have to look at is what can you do to help others right now that might be in trouble? Think about who you're reaching and what challenges and changes have happened to them in the last month or 2 months. I think acknowledging the pain that people have right now is important. I think making sure that you offer ways to help them get out of that and move forward is good. I just don't think leaving all your social media and all your marketing and not acknowledging what's going on in the world right now is the way to go. I think, to me, that would be what that fellow had said, business as usual, and that's his business, his choice. And it may not be your choice to make a change or do anything either. Every business, to me, I think is really different, but that's the big thing that I think you have to sort of look at is what is changing for your clients? What is changing for your business? What's changing for their families? Because right now, people have everybody at home. We've got 2 teenagers in the house here that are normally at university. So life is changing, and especially for people with young kids. I know when I started my business 12 years ago, the kids were little, and I can't imagine that right now. But I look behind and I see my neighbors. One works at Alicia works at the liquor store. Her husband is working from home now, and he's got their 5-year-old and 7-year-old at home. So life is very different for everybody, and it isn't usual. And I think if you can acknowledge that and look through with what's going on and put that into your marketing and put what's going on out there right now, that's good. You may have to review what kind of services you have and what's going on with that. I know I'm making a change with that. I had a special launch that I was going to be doing for an upgraded program. I've changed that, and I've made a difference in what's going to happen with that. And even when I've delayed it a little bit, because I've actually put something else in the forerunner. So I have the Insiders Club, which is a membership program I have. I'm actually going to do an offer for people for a free 30 days in there, because I feel what people need right now is help with their marketing and what to do with their business. And that's what that program's about. I was going to do that later on in the year, and I was going to change and have my content marketing course come out soon. Well, right now things are different for what people need. And so that's where I'm looking at, what I'm changing, what I'm doing with my business. And I know probably everybody here, I know, I mentioned earlier, these ladies, these fabulous women are clients of mine. And I know with Adrien, Erica, and Katherine, we've all changed something, and they've all come up with new ideas for what to do with their business, because it isn't usual for people now. I do think some people are thinking that means you have to give everything away. I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think part of what you have to look at and plan for is not necessarily that you have to slash prices on everything that you have. You still have to look at the value of what you're offering and put that into your marketing plan and put those pieces into it. I think the most important part of your marketing right now is that you have to really be communicating with your audience, with your community online, with your community on your email list, and with your community that you might have in your programs, and with your courses, if you have courses, or with your clients directly. I know Adrienne's been doing some different reach out. She works, she'll probably talk about this, but she can do telehealth now even more, and they're doing more than they were doing before because of the changes. And she reached out to her clients. She communicated that, and that's really critical to making sure that people know what's going on. Erica did the same thing, let people know. Nobody's coming in our office right now, but we can work with you virtually. Katherine works virtually already, but she's pivoting and changing some of what she's doing with her clients to change into what they're going to do. And she'll share some of that with the job interview tips that she's going to be talking about here. And Linda, I know that they've made changes with their coaching practices in their programs as well right now. That's what you've got to do, but you also have to make sure you're communicating that and letting people know. So I still think it's important to keep your lead generations and your funnels open and still be collecting names and emails and marketing your business. But I think the big thing is just pivoting the message you put out in your marketing so that you're acknowledging what's going on. So that's my 2 cents on what should be happening with the marketing that you're doing with your business right now. And I am going to hand it over. I'm probably going to go back here now. I'm going to hand this over to Katherine, and I'm going to let her share with you guys some tips. Katherine is a career and interview coach and job search coach, and so she's going to share with you some tips about HR and job search and interviews right now. Take it away, Katherine.
Hey everybody. So what's going on in corporate America these days is they're all gathered around a conference table trying to figure out how they're going to control the costs. And this is going to look like layoffs. Some layoffs happened already. The obvious ones are the wave that's coming is going to be folks who are like you and I, like we used to be anyway, folks in offices, folks who are supporting businesses that are going to be downsizing because their business has changed. Business is unusual. So this changes everything. Job search has sort of stopped, but not really. It never really stops. So you might see fewer advertisements and job postings out there, but that doesn't mean that there isn't hiring going on. And that doesn't mean that there isn't a match for you. So if you know someone who's let me say it this way. We could divide this into several different groups. There's the folks that are out of work right now that are hourly workers. And then there are the folks that are still working who are fearful for their jobs. And there are executives out there and middle managers who've been out already or are feared to be out. I have a terrible bias against job postings. I think that system doesn't work. You have less than a 10% chance of getting a job from an advertisement. So if you know someone who's in that situation, my biggest tip is to network. Networking for a job seeker is exactly like networking for a business owner like us. It's exactly the same techniques that I use are the techniques that I encourage my clients to use. So if networking is important, that means that all of us or all job seekers, whether you're in the marketplace or not, or you're still employed, still be very active on social media. Identify your target market, just like we do as business owners. Identify your target companies and start networking into those companies through LinkedIn especially. If you're doing that, then you're putting yourself in a position to share what's going on in your life, your experiences, your observations. Maybe it's in the form of videos or blogs or articles or comments. Make sure that your LinkedIn profile is totally optimized for the job that you want. Now, with that said, I've been changing the way that I do my business. For some time now, even before the crisis hit, I was concerned that there was a whole group of people out there who could not afford to hire me as their coach because that's expensive, but there wasn't a product for them. And so last fall, I started creating some products that we're launching now. One was called LinkedIn for Job Seekers. Another one, a new one that's coming out in the next month, is called Job Search Marketing Plan Boot Camp. And then I just completed and will issue next month something on virtual interviewing, because a lot of people don't get that virtual interviewing is not just an interview that happens on video. So this goes through, it's kind of funny actually. It goes through how you set up your video cameras, how you set up yourself, how you dress, how you act, how you behave. So that's sort of what I'm doing. Bottom line, network, take advantage of social media, and job search is still happening and hiring is still happening. Kathy? Too much? Is that what you?
No, that was good, Katherine. Sorry, I was muting myself. I was like, that's great. And
Okay.
that video that Katherine did, it's on her website. I'll send you a link to it. It's actually really good. She talks about, backgrounds that you have when you're doing video interviews and things like that. I've actually sent it to my son because he's actually been looking for a new job before the pandemic hit, and he got a couple interviews, and now he's going to have a virtual video interview. So, and I sent him a link to it, but she's got some really good tips in there, especially because I think there's a lot that's going to go to video these days for sure. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, thank you, Katherine, very much. Thank you. So I'm going to put on the line here now Adrien Paczosa. So Adrien is coming in from Austin, Texas, and she is the owner of fearlesspractitioners.com. And she's got some tips and ideas to help private practice owners with some ideas on how they can thrive right now during the pandemic. Go ahead, Adrien.
Oh, thank you, Kathy. And I put my timer on so I don't go over because I'm very detail oriented. So I always think that whenever you're in a private practice, when there is a shift or a pivot, we all kind of freak out. And I think this is a great time to enjoy the freak out, all of that, but then also take that time to really step back and look why you went into private practice. And that's my first couple of tips, is really take this time to take care of your current clients. We reached out to all of our current clients and just send them a thank you note. Like, thank you so much for being able to switch to telemedicine, to continue to show up and continue to take your health a priority when it's easy to take a step back. So I think first and foremost, taking care of your current clients. Another way to take care of them is to make an announcement to your community that you are moving to a virtual practice. And I think, as Kathy mentioned, Eric and I both did that, and it's been amazing. And I think the cool part in that, which it took me this pandemic to realize, is, oh yeah, I live in Texas. I forgot that it's a ginormous state. And how amazing is that now I can really serve a greater population. So I was seeing this as a wonderful opportunity to reach smaller communities that may not be able to have a dietitian, may not be able to have a therapist, may not be able to have your services, is such a wonderful opportunity. So the other thing is take care of past clients. So we went through the last 2 years of our client list and reached out and just checked in, like, hey, are you okay? Are you drinking water? Are you washing your hands? And I can't even begin to tell you how many of our past clients said it was so nice to get an email from you guys to check in. It made so much of a difference because we forget a lot of people are isolated. And just a quick email, authentic, personal check-in is, I can't even imagine how powerful that is. I always tell the story of after a really hard dentist appointment when I was a little kid, my dentist called me that night and to check in on me. And to this day, I think he's the greatest dentist ever to walk the face of the earth. So just a simple appreciation and gratitude goes a long way, especially when you lead with that heartfelt service. So that brings me to kind of tip number 4 is leading with service. So just like everybody's kind of talking about is ways to help and really reach out. So if it's people that are struggling with emotional and stress eating, if it's people struggling with whatever it might be in your area of expertise, how can you like step in and be of service? In nutrition land, we always talk about menu planning. Well, now somebody might have to menu plan for 2 weeks, or like, how do you make beans and rice taste good after so many days, or whatever it might be. But I think those are different ways to really be of service that is a different way. And the last one for all of you people in private practice or in your own business, doing a SWOT analysis. So your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and threats. And me and my other mastermind did this a couple weeks ago, and it was awesome to really brainstorm what opportunities you have right now and to really look at your business health overall. So I hope those tips help, and I hope that you continue to lead with service and reconnect with your why of why you're in private practice. I hope that helps, and I hope I stayed on time. Oh, I did. Yay.
You totally did. And I've got a laughing chat here. Dominique is saying, I'm eating my lentils and brown basmati rice with yogurt for breakfast right now.
Oh, I love it. Oh, Dominique, thank you so much. And yes, it's so interesting how we can like find a twist on taking care of ourselves.
Yeah, it is. It totally is. All right. Well, thank you, Adrien, so much for those tips. Really good and practical advice. And I mean, I think a lot of it is, you know, stuff that you forget about too, like reaching out to the past clients and letting them know you're there. I think that can be really helpful. And whether you're in a private practice like you are, or even in a service-based business, that can be something too, that you're just looking to check and make sure if they're okay. And I know Katherine did something like that on LinkedIn. She did a sort of a check-in that she's been doing too. And I think that's been helping her as well. So I think that is really, really an important part of all of that. You know, reach out and just see if people are there to get help, if whatever help they need. So we're going to move on. So Kathy got in here. So I'll introduce everybody to Kathy Dawson. She's just logged in there. I'm going to unmute you now, Kathy. So Kathy's coming in from Cleveland, Ohio, and she is a relationship coach there. And she's going to take about 5 minutes or so and share some relationship tips for living 24/7 under the same roof without killing each other.
Yes, just a little background on me. I've been a relationship coach for 28 years, and I have a lot of clients who are reaching out to me because they are feeling like cabin fever. They didn't sign on for this. You know, they of course they want to be together, but they didn't think they'd be together every minute of the day. So one of the things, can you hear me, Kathy?
Yeah, we can hear you.
One of the things I recommend is to have an exit strategy within your own house. And that means find a spot in your home that when you really need to just be alone and decompress or calm down or just meditate or whatever it might be to refill your tank, that you find a spot in your home and you tell the people you love, who you're living with, that this is your space and others are allowed to use it unless you need to use it, but everybody can find their own space in the house depending on how big your home is. So that's a really good idea because, you know, we need to have some time alone, especially in this time of isolation. And it seems ironic because we're not connecting with a bunch of people outside. So you think, well, I am alone. Well, you're not really alone. You're in tight quarters with other people. So that's the first thing I recommend. The other thing I recommend is that you catch each other doing something right, in the act of doing something right. Because sometimes when we're under close quarters, we tend to focus on the negative. And we're not just doing wrong things, we're doing right things. So we really need to be hyper aware and have our antenna up for what the other people in our family are doing right, so to speak, and verbalize that or acknowledge that in some way, because we got to keep everybody's spirits going, right? Doesn't mean you can't express a concern. You absolutely can, but sometimes the human brain tends to really overload on the negative. So we have to work very hard to also balance that out with seeing things that are positive. Let's see, another thing I always say, be a hawkeye for humor. And in this dire time, it doesn't feel like there's anything that's funny going on, but my guess is there's probably some lighter things going on in your environment that you can giggle about, you can laugh about. My husband and I, every once in a while, will pull up a song on his iPad, and we'll just break out into a jitterbug. You know, just the act of doing that just makes us feel better, right? Because we're trying to lighten the mood, lighten the energy. Another idea, and I highly recommend this, is if you're in the house with your family, your little kids, or however old they are, teenagers, schedule in a family meeting. Now, a family meeting, it could be once a week, it could be every other week, it could be every day if you want, but it acts as an anchor to your relationship. It gives everybody something to look forward to. They know that at 3 o'clock, every day, every other day, we're going to get together. The point of the family meeting, first of all, is you put the people's names in the family in a bowl. Everybody picks out a name, and they say one thing positive about that person. Okay, because as I mentioned earlier, being under the same roof, we can kind of maybe, I don't know, be negative about the other people. So it forces you to say out loud, all right, one of the things that I like about this person or I love about this person is this. Now, if you pick your own name, guess what? You have to say something about yourself that you like about yourself. And if you have kids who are in developmental stages, this is a really good way to build self-esteem. Have them get used to saying out loud in front of other people what they like about themselves. So once you do that, you have an agenda for the family meeting. And the first thing you do is you talk about something fun that you as a family are going to do. Now, let's pretend you don't have kids. Then you're having a weekly meeting with your partner, and you're going to talk about something fun you're going to do. And we're used to having dates outside of the home, but now we're talking about in-home dates. So you're going to talk about something you can do at home together that's different than sitting and watching TV, right? Whether it's playing a card game, playing Scrabble. Dick and I use this little thing called a chat pack. It's a little pack of cards that have different questions to get us talking about something other than the virus, okay? I mean, I know we all want to focus on it, but I need a break. I don't know about anybody else, but I need a break, so that really helps. So anyway, at the family meeting, you schedule something that is going to be fun for the week. Now, this is also a venue for you to talk about if you have a concern, right? And this gives you an opportunity to work as a team to come up with solutions for whatever the concern is. So it builds that, it exercises that teamwork muscle in the family. So having the family meeting really is something to look forward to, and it's an anchor, whether it's your weekly meeting with just your partner or your family meeting every week, okay? Does anybody want to comment, or I'm not sure how you're running this? I feel like a talking head right now, but just tossing out ideas.
No, we're good, Kathy. That's great. That's a fabulous list. I would love to see you and Dick doing the jitterbug. I'm just going to say.
Yeah, it's
But
fun.
no, that's great. So what I'm going to do is move on to Erica and Linda, and then we're going to open it up for questions. So I'm sure some folks will have some questions because you have some really good tips in there for sure. The family meeting, I love that idea. And I think too, like I know for me, we have teens and we have 2 levels in the house, and their rooms are downstairs, their bathrooms downstairs. So we don't see them a whole lot, although one son and I are playing cards every night. But for sure, trying to get that time together, I think is really important as well. So thank you for that. And I'm just going to move on now to Erica, who is going to share with us some emotional eating tips for during the crisis. Well, we're all at home and the fridge is right there.
We are all home. The fridge is there. And we're all living under this enormous amount of stress. And I want to just remind everybody that we are undergoing national trauma. And when we are in a trauma response, it can be very normal to want comfort in other ways. Comforting by eating food that feels good, really kind of stuffing your feelings. Like, it's really all normal. And I really just want to say to please have some compassion for yourself. That is my first piece of advice, to really say it's okay. Nothing is going to happen if I am not doing my regular exercise program or if I'm eating a little chaotically. Of course, it's just normal. And I think that's really what people need to hear. The other thing is I do a lot of work with people with eating disorders, struggling with being able to eat enough food and potentially eating too much, binging, emotional eating. And the thing I always say is really try to eat regular meals and snacks. It's very easy, we're sort of in our homes, and, sort of where is morning, where is night, they all sort of morph into one another. And I think just sort of having some sort of schedule, routine, waking up and really making a point of having a balanced breakfast with carbs, proteins, and fats. This isn't the time to diet, because dieting and restricting your food generally leads to binge eating behavior. So really just recognizing that right now, we're just trying to get by and nourish yourself by eating regular meals and snacks. Now, there are times when, if, can become extreme, we really find ourselves just eating mindlessly. It can be helpful to just make notice of that, pay attention. And sometimes, we're really mindless. We're home again, we're right near the kitchen, we just might be bored, want a break, go to the refrigerator. I invite you to think about, in those moments, are you really physically hungry? If you could just stop for a moment, anytime you're going up to the refrigerator or the cabinet, and say to yourself, am I hungry? Am I hungry? Just a very simple question. I say it all the time. And think to yourself, when was the last time I had a meal or a snack? And it's possible that you might be physically hungry. And of course, you're always invited to eat. You're allowed to eat. I want to make that point, that as soon as we give ourselves permission, we have a much better chance of eating regular meals and snacks. But if you find yourself noticing, I just ate lunch, an hour ago, it's probably a craving. And again, you have a choice. You can go with the craving. Sometimes it's better to go with the craving if you feel like you want to have a chocolate. If you deny the craving, it's possible you can end up eating more. Or you can really work on practicing not reacting by stopping. I have this whole visual in my head. I like to see a stop sign. And I just pause and I take a really nice deep breath, which, by the way, we all forget to breathe when we're under a lot of stress. So it's a good idea to practice breathing. Some people meditate. I actually have been doing a lot more meditating, but just breathing and taking that pause. And then deciding, what do you want to do? Do you want to eat? Again, you are welcome to eat. You can eat, but you can also find distractions, and the distraction can be any number of things. Watching television and going to another room, finding your partner, dancing, cleaning a closet. It can be something nurturing. Maybe you really need a rest in that moment. Maybe you've been working too hard, staring at the screen all day, but we're not all used to being at a screen all day. Just need to get up and listen to music, take a walk. Like, I'm finding, for me, getting out once a day, at least in nature, even just seeing the sun, can be very helpful to sort of calm your nervous system. You can also deal with the feelings. This is, I'm going to get emotional as I talk about it. This is an extraordinary time that we're living through, and we'll remember this. And I know there'll be a silver lining, but it's okay to feel. I just want people to know that. And when you feel too much, take a nice deep breath again, or cry, or take a shower. And again, you can eat. I really feel like I want people to have that permission to eat, because when you don't have that permission, then you have more of a likelihood to binge eat and emotional eat. So those are my tips. Starting with eating balanced meals throughout the day and snacks, and not being so hard on yourself.
Thank you so much, Erica. Those are really good tips. And I think I got some comments here on the back end, and Melanie is like, thank you so much. Oh my God, thank you. These are all great tips. And then someone saying, Laura, not eating can lead to headaches, and one of the symptoms and that can be mentally distressing to worry you might be coming down with something. So yeah, good tip, Laura. I suspect Laura's a dietitian. So yeah, no, great advice. And I think that's a big thing, like sort of that, check in. Am I really hungry? To me, that's a big thing that I've learned from you, is to do that question of myself. Do I really want that? And if I do, then sometimes I think about it and I just maybe only take a little bit just to make me happy and go on my merry way.
Sometimes eating is really just what the doctor ordered. I really want to say it's not, let's not make it, vilify it.
Yeah.
I think that's the best attitude.
Cool. Great. Yeah. Thank you so much, Erica.
My pleasure.
So now I'm going to bring on Linda McLean. She is my business coach, and she is the founder of McLean International Coaching. And she's coming to us from Arizona. And she's going to sort of share some business strategy and tips. I wasn't quite sure, Linda, so I sort of detailed it as that. And I thought you could kind of wrap up what everybody said and share some big picture advice for all of us.
Right. Well, first of all, thanks. I think just thank you, everybody, for coming together, because this is what we all need, is connection. We all need connection. And so thank you, Kathy, for setting up the platform to do this. Well, my goodness, I've got like a whole page of notes from all the amazing tips and words of wisdom provided by the group here. And it's interesting. The other day, I was on another call, and they said that each of us can look at who are we as we're going through this. And I call what we're going through a challenge. Because when we're going through challenges, we always want to come up with a solution. And when we're going through a challenge, we always say we're up for the game, we're getting in there. And I heard this on another call. They said people kind of behave in 3 different ways, or they have these 3 different types of descriptions. So the first thing is, who are you? And I know all of these ladies here are what I'm going to call their boxers. These ladies are boxers, and I'm going to explain this to you. So the first person that, and this is for us to have a level of awareness, because having a level of awareness in our business as well as our personal life gives us the viewpoint to make decisions. And as all of you ladies said, everything that you described today is about making a decision. So the first thing is having a level of awareness. And so who are you? Number one, they described some people during this challenging time become turtles. So they totally turtle. They go within and they just keep their fingers crossed that, oh my gosh, this too shall pass, which, we know it'll pass. We know that we won't stay the same forever, because we're all changing and evolving in our business, in our professional life, as well as our personal life. But a turtle just kind of goes in and just stays there and hoping that maybe everybody else will take care of all this, or it'll just pass. So that's one description. The second is, are you the cocktail? Are you the cocktail who you're going, yahoo, all right, we're going to have a vacation. Throw all caution to the wind. Let's go have a good time. And I think, Kathleen, you said you saw some of those off the back of your boat a little while ago. Those are the cocktail people. So ask yourself, am I the cocktail person? Am I just like going out and having a good time and kind of throwing all caution to the wind? You got the turtle, the cocktail. Here's a third one, the boxer. What is it that a boxer does? Before a boxer gets into the ring, they think about their strategy. They think about their body. They think about what they're wearing. They make sure that they are prepared to get in the ring, because their goal is to survive. Their goal is to win. Their goal is to strategize. Their goal is to claim victory. And that's why I said all of these ladies, all of you guys have displayed boxer mentality, because you are not sitting back and waiting for someone else to do something. You're being creative. And in times like this, everyone is being more flexible, I believe, and they're being more creative. Look at all the amazing ideas about what we can do in our home with our family now. Those ideas were before us in the past. We just didn't grab them. So therefore now people are being more flexible and are being more creative because they're put in this challenging position. And those are the ones that are rising up. And I'm sure for all of you guys who are listening, you're doing the same thing. And the key thing is, yes, acknowledge all the great things that you are doing, because that in itself makes you feel good and it makes you feel proud. As I said before, this is all going to pass. So when you look at your business and you have a level of awareness of what needs to be adjusted, you do have to rise up and make those decisions with clarity. Now, we know that, and there was such great comments throughout all of the stuff that, Kathy talked about communication, and Katherine, who talked about cutting costs, and hiring goes on, maybe in a different way, and Adrien, how you care for your current clients. You see, we are all here to serve. And Kathy Dawson, oh my gosh, one of the things that I pulled up from this was you can't pour from an empty cup. So really taking care of yourself is really important, like our health and our rest and all of that. And then all the tips, with Erica, as you said, like just show yourself some compassion, but still with some accountability of being in balance so that you're not totally off balance. And I think it's really, really, really important. But here's the thing that we know, just like in all your businesses or the work that you do, things change and things will change. We know they're going to change. In a week from now, in 2 weeks from now, 30 days, 6 months from now, we will all be in a different place. And so this is what we want to do. We want to stand proud, because as we look in the rearview mirror, which you know that many of us do look in the rearview mirror, how proud of yourself are you going to feel? What are the things that you did as that really boxer getting prepared to go in? What are the things that you did, or what are the things that you can do now? Because you will look back on this day. You will, as someone said, you will remember it. Of course we will. This is unusual. Now, challenges like this have happened in the world before. Maybe not the same, but maybe a little different. And we know that there are people who rise to the top, like the cream. And everybody has an opportunity in their own way to rise to the top. And when we approach things, as I said, emotion, all of you guys have written within your comments about emotion. See, emotion can drive motivation. And when you have emotion, when someone has unruly emotion, they're not really looking at the facts. And sometimes they are acting out of desperation, and they're not being proactive, they're being reactive. They're not responding, they're being reactive. So here's a couple things to remember, is that when you approach things with a calm mindset, when you calm yourself down, you go through all the tips that you mentioned, many of you do the breathing. And I agree with you. Oh my gosh, you find yourself going like this, that's a turtle, and not breathing. So first of all, what is it that you need to do individually, personally, to have a calm mind? When we have a calm mind, what that does is it brings more clarity. When we have clarity, all of a sudden we can see the road before, whatever that is. And we will actually make better decisions. And as a leader, see, each and every one of us are leaders. So we do have to listen, but we are called with the responsibility to make decisions in your home. How are you managing? How are you directing your home? And teaching the children how to make good decisions with their structure and the new structure that they are now presented with. And then in business, what are some of the decisions you have to make? And we know, I've been on the call constantly. Every business owner must do the analysis of their business right now and make those CEO type decisions. Financial decisions, realigning of their marketing, like what you said, Kathy. There are decisions to be made. And so the decisions get made by the people who are the boxers, who are getting ready and they're forging forward. And that is, you know, one of the key things is how we eliminate confusion and fear. Because we know that fear does not feed yourself, your soul, your business. It's the positive mindset that actually has the impact on your body as a whole, in seeing yourself as whole, in seeing yourself as a contributor, and seeing yourself as a caregiver. I truly, truly believe the most important thing right now is how can I serve? And you start with yourself. Like what you said, you serve yourself within the best knowledge that you have. See, education is very powerful right now. Why are we all together? Yes, us guests came on board to learn and share what we have, but I took like all these notes. I have so many more ideas, and maybe I have heard some of them before, but it doesn't matter. I'm hearing them again. I'm going, great idea. And I know, like, even within, so my husband and I are here in Arizona. Our one daughter's in Denver, our other daughter, they're all grown and career women in San Diego. But my husband and I, we're having fun. We've done a puzzle. We're doing a puzzle. And you know what? We're enjoying champagne. And we're enjoying a little cocktail here or there within moderation. And yes, at night, I'm eating the cheesies because, you know, I brought some back from Canada and I'm enjoying them. And that's okay. You see, we can all, as each every one of you ladies, we can all lift the energy. And when we are purposeful in lifting the energy, we're giving the gift not just to ourselves, but to our family, to our friends, as we meet them on the street walking or wherever you are. And each of us play our little part. And like a little bit, just the way we're putting this puzzle together, all of a sudden, we have a beautiful picture to look back on, because we will be looking in the rearview mirror and we can just say, wow, I'm really happy that I did that. I'm really proud of myself and how I manage myself personally and how I manage myself professionally. And I know, like, the little tips we're doing FaceTime dinner hour with our daughters in Denver and their significant others, and our other daughter in San Diego. And it's fun. Like, every night we're going, oh, what are you guys making for dinner? And we see each other in the kitchen. And so creativity, just like what all of you ladies have done within your business, you're being more creative. And how can you move forward? And that's probably the last thing for me to kind of wrap up on is, there is a tomorrow. We must focus on the future. Cast the vision, and like Wallace D. Wattles of the Science of Getting Rich says, we must cast a vision, and then we just start wobbling towards it. And as you wobble towards it, make sure that you are having a positive impact on other people, and then pay attention to, who am I wobbling with? Who am I going to have fun with as we're going forward? And really, there's a phrase that says, give the best that you have. Give the world the best that you have, and the best will come back to you. So it was just,
wow, that was a great ending. That line, Linda, is great. Yeah,
it's interesting. We have these things around us. I'm just gonna, that came up on a call for me. I just remembered in my office the other day, and I was doing because I've stepped up to do group calls for people in their company. Say, let's bring all your people together in your company together. Let's do a little Zoom meeting. I'll come on for 15, 20 minutes. I'll give whatever I have, whatever in my heart, whatever is channeled through me. I'll give whatever I have. So I've been doing that quite a bit. And it's interesting. All of a sudden, I remembered this quote that I was given from one of my mentors, Bob Proctor, and it's in my office. And so when we look around, we see what we have around us. We have all sorts of tools and tips and things that we can ultimately share that perhaps had an impact on us someday. And that's where that quote came from. And I went, how can I give the best back right now. And so I've definitely gone into the creative mode and offered to step up to help people any way they can use some support.
Cool. Thank you. Well, thank you all. I really appreciate you taking the time to come here. And I said I would open it up for Q&A time for everybody, and I definitely will. Now, I know Adrien has to leave because she has another group call to go on to. So if anybody has a question specific to Adrien, if they want to post that up now, or you can raise your hand and I will let you just, you should, I don't know if you can actually raise your hand or not in this one, but you can just post in the chat that you have a question, and I'll unmute you so you can ask the question. We do have one from Dominique. What suggestions or recommendations do you have regarding my ideas to launch some offers around virtual offers for bookkeeping health checks? Now, I know, Adrien, you said you thought that would be a really good idea. I'm going to unmute all of you speakers there so that you can just talk when you need to. What she's asking is talking about doing like tax health checks, financial docs organizations, using online tools and manage it, like a free 20-minute or tele-Zoom consult. She's just wondering if that would be a good idea to put out there at this point. I personally think it would, because I think right now there's a lot of people, and I think, Adrien, you made the comment earlier, there's so much small business information going around right now that people are looking and trying to figure out, how do I apply for this or that or whatever. So I think that's what you were kind of talking about.
Yeah, with the new SBA loans, all of that is super confusing. I think I've been on 3 webinars in the last day about all the SBA loans. And I even reached out to my own CPA and bookkeeper, but I think that that's a great way to lead with service. So if you could even start that, I think that's a great, because everybody's feeling really discombobulated about all the SBA stuff.
And I know up here in Canada, there's a ton of different options as well there's things that landlords can do with rent for business, for clients. And I mean, I think the most often asked question that I'm seeing online right now is, how do you go and apply for it? Like, because they're looking for all that guidance, because I think the government's they want to help, but they just can't get it out fast enough with the right information. So I do agree. I think having those quick checks would be really good, Dominique. And if you do them as a 15-minute quickie one right now, that will give people just the step that they might need, and they'll remember you for it. And when they need more service, they'll come back to you at that. Or you can just start it with your current clients as well. Any other ideas from anybody on that? From the panel? All right. So are there any other questions? I've got, David has posted up here, a blueprint for remote working lessons from China. And he's got a link that he shared there. So thank you for that, David. Yeah, I think it's funny. I was talking to somebody with my sister. We were talking about stuff because she's a real estate agent. So she's having to do virtual showings for the most part till they get down to the final parts right now. And then she had closings that were already coming in play. And one of the comments she made was, there's so many companies out there that prior to this said, oh, we can't have our people work from home. We can't do this virtually. You know, it's just not possible. Now, I do have, my husband runs a work from home program for a contact center he runs it in Canada and in the United States. So he's in the other office beside me here, always on about things. So I know the big thing right now is telecom. Like, they're worried that it's going to go down because he's hitting a lot of busy circuits when he makes these calls to get on the bridges to have their meetings. But I think there are a lot of businesses that may change after this and then are going to pivot, because they have seen what's happened when people go home and they work from home. I think there's going to be people that are like, I'm never doing this again because it just isn't going to work. But I think there's also a lot of people that will thrive in it, and it is something that they're okay with to have that working from home. I know for me, I've been home for 12 years working. My kids were 8, 9, and 11 when I started, and now one doesn't even live here anymore. It doesn't bother me at all to be at home because that's how I lived my life. But I know for some people it's a huge shift. And I think that's going to make a big shift for a lot of companies and places later on, moving on from this, for sure.
Kathy, can I step in? You know, I've been doing a lot of work with a lot of different business owners as well. And you know what we found is that it's challenging their systems. So the system of how you do business. And some of them are actually becoming a lot more efficient because they're being forced to find a different way to go about their work and their delivery of their service. And as a result, they're discovering a new system to put into place that they will carry forward in their business even after the isolation is lifted.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Laura's posted a question here for a person. She's looking for suggestions for a person who has a website, no list of client emails, and lots of ideas on how to prepare food. She's a little social media adverse, drowning in emails right now. Can't imagine the flood of posts online. How does she get started getting out to get the help I want to offer out there? Her expertise is in child nutrition, mostly in federal feeding programs in schools is where she does this, but sharing easy recipes. So Laura's actually a student in my blogging mastermind. So her typical market is school nutrition, in like working within the schools. So she has all sorts of recipes and ideas. And we had talked a little bit about this, but she's probably looking for some ideas maybe from Erica or Adrien on how to get out there. She doesn't have a lot of online presence. And she's just wondering, is putting them out on her website or blog helpful, putting it on social media, or do you have other ideas?
I would say that's a great question, Laura, but I would say if you could start with friends and family and just sending out a personal email to them, and at the end asking them if you could share this with your community, and think outside of other communities. If you belong to a church or an organization, I think right now sharing anything that could help people is, again, leading with that service, leading with your why of why you're doing this to really make a difference. So reach out to the communities and people that you already know and know and like and trust you already.
Cool. Excellent. Any other feedback for her? Erica?
I totally agree about starting with people you know. But I also want to say that if you are social media averse, maybe consider picking one social media channel like Facebook, because I am in a lot of different Facebook groups, and I'm just going to say that people are desperate for what you're talking about. Desperate. When I tell you desperate. And you could probably, if you would just pick one and sort of, ask Kathy for a little bit of help, get yourself on perhaps Facebook, you could get many, many clients very quickly, because people are home with their kids. They need help with meal planning, menu planning, all of that. So.
Yeah. And Patty's adding in here, it would be great to have ideas for picky eaters too. And then she's also saying, thank you, Adrien. I know you have to go. Thank you so much for being here.
Bye.
Appreciate it. Patty's suggesting also in Facebook or online neighborhood groups, that might be an idea as well. I know locally here we have several neighborhood groups on Facebook, Laura, so that could be something that you look for. I know you're kind of social media adverse, but that might be one of the best ways to get out there. And I would agree with Erica. Facebook would be one of the best places to start, because that's where most people are really hitting right now for the family stuff, for the, how do I deal with this, or how do I deal with that? They're kind of looking to their groups and their friends online to do that part of it.
Yeah, and they're connecting. People are looking to Facebook actually to connect, because we're so isolated. So that's why I picked Facebook.
And here is something that someone said to me the other day. Could be Kathy Colaiacovo, not certain. Don't worry about being perfect.
Yeah.
Right? Just get out there and provide service the best that you can, and don't worry about being perfect.
Yeah. And Dominique's adding, as a tax accountant, she was social media adverse, but she found so much support and benefit using Facebook groups that she shifted her attention to Facebook business groups and pages. So, yeah. And those groups can be really helpful. I think some can be helpful, some not. I personally had to leave a local Facebook group because I just couldn't take it. It was making me so angry because people were I couldn't handle what they were dealing with and commenting about and complaining with all the time. And it was making me just batty. So finally I left it, and my family actually noticed that I was a little more calm about some certain things. But yeah, so I do think like getting out there in different groups like that, and even just sharing ideas with people, looking for feedback, all that kind of stuff could really help as well. So, and Linda's saying, thank you for all your time and expertise. And we've got several comments like that in there, ladies. So I do want to appreciate everybody's time here. We're at the top of the hour, and I just want to say thanks to everybody for joining in. If you did have a question that you didn't get answered, I didn't see any more in here. I know a lot of people might be, you know, worried about asking questions or whatever, but you can email it to me, and I'll put it on my Facebook page, and we can see if we can brainstorm around that. And I will be sending out an email after this with a link to the recording so that you guys can all save it and keep track of the tips that you have in there. I have links in here, and I'll put this all on the website as well to all the experts that I have here with me today. And I just want to say thank you very much, ladies, for taking the time to come here. Thank you, Katherine, for the brainstorm idea of doing this. I have such a great resource of people, and sometimes I don't even think to use it and look for it and get some expertise. And I'm probably going to be doing some more of this stuff another time too, because I do think it's helpful to sort of get the pack of brains all together and get everybody's different perspective and expertise and share it out as much as we can. Because right now there's so many people looking for different ways to pivot, because business is unusual right now. Life is unusual, but I truly believe we're going to get to the other side. And I really hope that everybody's families and that everyone stays safe and healthy through this. And know that you have other people out there that, you know, are there in the same boat as you, and all looking for ideas on how to make things, you know, go forward and go forward in a positive way. So thank you very much, everyone. And any final words from you guys?
Thank you, Kathy, for initiating it.
Yes.
And Katherine.
Yeah. And Kathy and Katherine actually know each other, because Katherine is from Ohio.
Hi, Kathy.
So
Yep. We don't see each other very often. Say hello to Dick for me.
I will.
Yeah, this has been great. And you know, one of the things something that I just remembered from one of my mentors, he said, it is what it is. Whatever it is we're going through, it is what it is. The second thing is harvest the good. Really look for the good of what you are learning and what you're learning about others. So harvest the good. And the third thing is reject the rest. Just let it go. Just get away. Just reject the rest. So it is what it is. Harvest the good and reject the rest.
Yeah.
Great advice.
Exactly. Great advice, Linda. Thank you so much. And thank you, everybody, for all your kind words I see in the chat. And I will see you online or next time. Have a great day, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, ladies, for those that are still here. I know there's still some guests here, but I do appreciate everything that you've done. See you later.